Hey, what's up mortals, it is Agent Xerxes here, and before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Katsuki Bakugo and his two goons were bullying another child on the day that Izuku Midoriya's quirk awakened. He was trying to stop his friend-turned-bully from harming another one of their classmates. As Bakugo was about to send a right hook at him with his explosions, Izuku's eyes started searing with pain. His vision was a bit blurry, but everything seemed to slow down, almost as if he could see the future. He could predict Kacchan's movements, committing them to memory right before they happened. He dodged Katsuki's blasts. The two boys behind Bakugo stained in shock and possibly fear, getting angry at Izuku for dodging his attack. Katsuki tried a second time. His attack was dodged again, and this time Izuku mirrored his attack, pushing him down. It was then that Bakugo saw Midoriya's eyes. They were different. His once green eyes were now blood red, with an even darker red circle around his pupils. Along each red circle was a black mark, shaped like a comma. Bakugo grinned at Izuku and got up cheering. "Oh, looks like Deku isn't as worthless as we thought."
Let's see what his quirk can do. Come on, Deku.
Joy spread across Izuku's face. The biggest smile he could muster plastered on as his eyes faded back to their usual green. For the rest of the day, the five children tested Izuku's new power, learning how to activate it that Izuku can focus his sight just barely to a cellular level. The slight increase into strength, speed, reaction time, his ability to perfectly mirror someone's movements and memorize them, and his stamina limit. When Midoriya got home that day, he showed his mother his quirk and what it could do. She immediately set up an appointment with a doctor to test and register her son's new quirk. When they finally went to the doctor, they got a proper testing done to properly see what Izuku's quirk can do. They learned that when he transformed his eyes, his vision and physical abilities get enhanced. His tunnel vision goes away, and he can memorize and copy others' movements. In addition to those abilities, they found out that he could induce minor hypnotism. They found this out when the doctor thought Izuku was making his pen float during one of the tests. He later found out that he was the only one who saw the pen floating, and confirmed what happened. The quirk was dubbed Sharingan, and also called Copy Wheel Eye, after the copying abilities and look of Midoriya's eyes after he activated his quirk. The next day at school, he showed off his quirk, and what he found out he could do at the doctor's office. The two became close friends in their weird way. Bakugo had stopped bullying the kid and the others as well, but he wasn't exactly nice to him or anyone else either. Some of the other kids still picked on him when Katsuki wasn't around. Despite having a quirk, he was still Deku. He was a nervous kid who wore his emotions on his sleeve. It was easy to get a reaction out of him, and the other kids knew it. But when Bakugo was around, they wouldn't even dream of picking on Midoriya. The one time someone did, they got a blast to the face for making fun of the person he dubbed his future sidekick. As they went through elementary and middle school, not much changed. The other kids still picked on Izuku, but it stopped bothering him after a while. The only sort of reaction they got was him trying to defuse things without any trouble. Katsuki eventually started seeing him as more of an equal, and they started training together once they got into middle school to enhance their quirks. By the time middle school was nearing its end, the two were seen as a duo and rivals. One day during the last year of middle school, Izuku got distracted by a villain fight on the way to school. Bakugo rolled his eyes and followed the boy to watch the fight. Kamui Woods was fighting a villain with a gigantification quirk. Izuku activated his Sharingan to memorize the fight, and later write notes about it. Right when the pro landed on a building, Izuku started excitedly talking to Katsuki. "Here it comes, Kacchan! His signature move! Lacquered Chains Prison!" Katsuki smirked at him and put his elbow on the slightly shorter boy's shoulder and leaned on him for support. Bakugo took his usual aggressive tone to Midoriya. "Damn it, Deku! We're gonna be late because of you!" Mount Lady came in with her canyon kick faster than Izuku could perceive with his quirk. He took out his notes and started to jot down information about Mount Lady while he talked. "Sorry, Kacchan. I gotta take notes on this. I couldn't see her coming with my quirk. This will help with our hero training." The man next to them suddenly became interested in their conversation. You two want to become heroes? Good luck with that. Katsuki immediately stepped towards the man with a confident grin. We're not just going to be heroes, old man. We're the next number 1 and 2. He pointed to himself and then Midoriya with his right thumb as he made his declaration. After the incident was over, they continued to school, barely making it in time. The class day went on without much going on. Izuku decided taking notes about the battle from earlier would be a better idea than actually paying attention. When Katsuki started screaming and calling the rest of the class extras, he was taken out of his thoughts. The teacher broke through the noise of students protesting at being called extras. No, Bakugo, you and Midoriya, of course. Must be aiming for UA High School. The students started murmuring about how hard it was to get in. Bakugo jumped onto his desk as he addressed the class. We're gonna make it to the top. I'll surpass All Might to become the best hero out there. Not to mention we'll be some of the richest people in the world. The class collectively looked at Izuku after hearing this, and he tried to hide his face in his arm. Nobody would dare say it with Katsuki around, but they were all thinking it. It didn't matter how strong Deku's quirk was. With his anxious personality and lack of presence, there's no way he could be a hero. As the day ended, Bakugo and his 2 lackeys who still followed him around approached Midoriya. Katsuki was thumbing through Izuku's new notes from the day. Hey, Deku, you hanging out with us today? Izuku smiled at the offer and refused, saying he wanted to stay back a bit and watch the news coverage from this morning's incident, in case he had missed something. Katsuki and his goons left Izuku to his own devices. He learned everything he could from the news footage and left. On his way home, Midoriya was muttering to himself, thinking of how he could incorporate what he learned this morning into his training. As he was walking under a bridge, he was attacked by a villain made of sludge. Midoriya activated his quirk, but it was too late. The villain was suffocating him, trying to take over his body and hid in it. He started clawing at the villain, trying to get the sludge out of his mouth and the villain off of him. If it hadn't been for the slightly boosted strength he got when his eyes transformed, he would have passed out. As he was struggling against the villain, All Might popped out from the sewer system and sent the villain splattering with a Texas smash. As soon as Izuku was free, he threw up the bits of sludge that had managed to get in his body. After collecting himself a bit, he started freaking out that All Might, the All Might, saved him. He got his role model's autograph and started helping him pick up the sludge villain and put him in soda bottles for containment. As the two cleaned up, Izuku collected his thoughts for the second time in a row after freaking out about All Might saving him. He figured he would never have a chance like this again, so he wanted to ask his role model a very important question. All Might? Sir, do you think I could become a hero like you? I don't really stand out much, and well, maybe that's not really the only reason, but I've always been picked on. Maybe that's why I think saving people is the coolest thing you can do. Izuku looked up at All Might from picking up pieces of the villain. The pro-hero was now giving him his full attention as he continued to speak. The way you save people with a fearless smile. I want to be the strongest hero just like you. Before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive is a channel based on a variety of anime lore. If you're interested in content like this, make sure you click the icon on the top right corner or check the description below for a link to the channel. Now with that out of the way, let's get back to the story. All Might hesitated, dragging out the silence as long as he could before answering. Kid, if you want to be a hero, you're gonna need to work hard. Being a hero shouldn't be thought of as lightly. A pro should always be willing to risk his life. By this point, they already went back to picking up the rest of the sludge villain while All Might continued to talk. If you're dead set on becoming a hero, then work as hard as you can. And remember to go plus ultra! The two finished picking up the sludge villain, and after Izuku thanked All Might for saving him, giving him his autograph, they parted ways. The next day, Izuku told Katsuki everything that happened and showed off the autograph that he got. With newfound confidence, Midoriya proposed to Bakugo that they train every day together in preparation for the UA entrance exam. Their training started immediately after school. Every day till the last week before the entrance exam, the two went to the forest where they used to play as kids, and began sparring. They started coming home with scrapes, bruises, and in Izuku's case, burn marks. Katsuki's mom was angry that he was coming home tracking dirt and blood everywhere, while Izuku's mom was worried he was getting bullied. After some explaining, the two boys coming home in a messed up state became the norm. When they weren't training together, they were strengthening their quirks on their own and studying for the written exam. Izuku practiced his hypnotism on small animals and, when willing, his mom. Katsuki focused on making his explosions bigger. Eventually, their weeks of training ended, and for the last week they rested and did some last-minute studying. The day of the entrance exam arrived, and Izuku Midoriya was beyond nervous. He was shaking with anxiety. Kacchan and Deku met at the train station, as ready as they could be for the exams. They rode together in silence and continued to walk in silence until they got to the gates of UA High School. Katsuki looked back at his friend.
Deku, come on. Quit staring like a damn nerd and move your ass.
Izuku started moving again, a bit too abruptly, and tripped over himself. He waited for the impact of the fall and Katsuki to laugh at him for being clumsy, but it didn't happen. When he opened his eyes, he was floating. The brunette who was now standing next to him apologized for using her quirk on him without permission, and wished him luck on the exam before running into the building. All he could do in response was stutter incoherently before she was gone. Bakugo laughed at and teased him for not being able to utter a sentence to the girl as they followed her lead and went in. After the written exam was over, the real test began, the practical exam. The pair trained tirelessly for the tests for this day, and they'd be damned if both of them didn't pass. The zero-pointer was the biggest obstacle for Izuku Midoriya to overcome. Unknown to Midoriya, a familiar fate sees his performance during the exam. Thank you all for watching with the video to the end. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you like the video. Until next time, peace out mortals, have an amazing day.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through.